Arizona basketball has had a lot of roster movement. What does this all mean, and who could be next?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, we got a lot to get to, but first, this show is brought to you by Gametime. Check it out, Gametime. All right, now we have some big news. Obviously, we've talked about it before, but Umar Ballo, leader of men, has announced that he will enter the transfer portal, and this was kind of a decision made by both sides. I love Oumar Ballo. Honestly, I never thought that he would become the player that he did. Not only did I not think he'd become the player that he did, he became he was never going to be an All-American, but man, he became a real difference maker type. Like I said, when he came in here, I thought he was going to be a Gene Edgerson, where, you throw some elbows around, you dive on the floor, some bike knee pad type stuff. But he became a lot more than that, a lot more. And not only did he become a lot more, he was, somebody that you could kind of rely on. Now, again, there were certainly some issues that were, less than ideal with him. The free throw shooting was obviously a major, major problem. And, his, defensively in the pick and roll, not great. But overall, though, he did a very, very good job, I thought, as the Arizona big man, and somebody that I think we should be very, very indebted to, because, he came in, he did things the right way. Not only did he come in and do things the right way, he also showed, I think, that that Tommy Lloyd really knows what he's doing when it comes to developing players. Umar took his time he also had the wherewithal to be able to really benefit. Now, there were a couple things that, maybe a little bit of a lack of conditioning in the offseason, stuff like that. But overall, Umar was somebody that you could count on to pretty much give you 15 and 10, those type of numbers pretty much every single game. You don't see that a ton. And that is something that I think that we absolutely should tip our cap to Umar Ballo, leader of men. Now, Arizona, I do believe, thinks that Mount Krivas has a higher ceiling, and I tend to agree with that. Listen, I know that some people are bummed about Krivas and what he was or wasn't able to do around the basket, and I get all those concerns. I really do. But I also think, too, that he's got some inherent skills that Umar Ballo just never will really possess, in that, he's got the hook either way. He's got a soft touch. He actually, believe it or not, I know this sounds weird, but if you see him in practice, he can actually shoot the ball a little bit too. So the coaching staff obviously thinks that he's got a little bit of a higher upside, and I am not going to argue with the coaching staff on that. I am all for, I understand this decision on both ends, and honestly, it's just a decision too that, just kind of makes sense. Now, Oumar Ballo is going to get paid. That's something else you got to remember too, is that Oumar Ballo, and I know the whole thing about how, the 600, or, about how transfer portal kids, there's ways around it to get money. He's going to get money, even though he's international. I get all that. He is going to get money, and he is going to get a lot of money. So do not worry about Oumar Ballo, leader of men. He will be okay. Now, a lot's going to be on Mount Krivas, though, because Krivas is, he's going to be given the keys to the keys to the kingdom. He is going to be that dude. He is going to be given every opportunity to be an all-conference type guy, and I think that Arizona's hoping that he could be a 13-7 type player. If he's 13-7, then Arizona's in good shape, because then I think as a junior, you're looking at somebody like 18-9. Krivas is going to be, I think, very, very good for Arizona. This also, we're going to get to Dylan in a second here, but also Henry Vasar. A lot's going to be counted on Henry. Now, again, I don't feel great about Henry. I would love to be wrong about Henry, but I do not feel great about Henry, to put it mildly. But here is what he also is. He's 7 feet. He can run the court. He can block shots, and the coaching staff believes he can shoot. I don't know that I've ever seen any indication of that, but the coaching staff is obviously with him every single day. They know a lot more than me, so we'll find out about where that is. But he's somebody that Arizona is absolutely going to be counting on, and they're going to be counting on him in a big way. They're going to, Arizona basketball is 1,000% going to need Henry Vasar to contribute. Now you're going to need to obviously bring in some other players, some power, or obviously some power forwards, things like that. But those are two guys that are going to be counted on for a lot. And not only are they going to be counted on for a lot, they're really going to be, depended on. And they're going to be depended on, especially Mount Krivas, to be a difference maker, to be a big time difference maker. And we'll find out if that's the case or not. I do think that he's got that potential. Vasar, like I said, I'm a little bit more iffy on, but the one that I think that really kind of took me by surprise, and the one that's a real bummer, though, is Dylan Anderson. Now, again, I like Dylan Anderson. I know a lot of people think that Dylan stinks. I disagree with them. I think that Dylan is good. I thought this one took me by surprise. Obviously, we knew Ballo was going to be leaving, but Dylan Anderson, I did not see that one coming. And not only did I not see that coming, like that one kind of came out of left field, because Arizona redshirted him this past year. You don't redshirt somebody that you think can play, and you just try to get them out. It's kind of that Philly B thing, where Arizona, I think, probably knew that Philly B was not going to be a real contributor here. So you gave him you gave him one more year. And then on top of that, you basically just went and said, okay, well, it's time, Philly. You've had a good run here. Not only have you had a good run, but we enjoyed having you here. But it is time to move on. They didn't do that. They planned on playing Dylan last year, and it just didn't work out. For whatever reason, it just didn't work out. And Dylan would have had a very prominent role. Again, would Dylan have been a starter? No. But Dylan would have had a prominent role. He would have been somebody that could have stretched the court. I mean, Mount Krivas is not going to be able to play 40 minutes per game. Dylan Anderson was going to be the strong, sturdy guy that could shoot the three. And you watch him in practice, and you could tell that he could shoot the three. And that's where, again, that's where I think I'm a little bit surprised. I did not see this one coming. And by all accounts, Dylan was pretty happy. So, obviously something happened there, but that's a loss for Arizona, because no matter what you think of him, they planned on playing him 15, 18 minutes per game. And that now is something that you have to try to make up. I get people all the time that ask me about Emmanuel Stephen. And I'll just say this, that I like Emmanuel Stephen. I think Emmanuel Stephen is going to be a very good player at the Arizona, but this is still freshman year Christian Coloco. This is not somebody that's going to be able to contribute immediately. And something that I think we need to remember, that he's going to take some time. Now, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be able to say, well, Emmanuel Stephen, he's going to be coming here and he's going to be just absolutely awesome. But I don't see that happening. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong all the time. But Arizona is going to have to get some more of the transfer portal market, and we're going to talk about that next. But first, FanDuel. FanDuel, check it out. All right. Here's the deal with FanDuel, ladies and gentlemen. FanDuel.com/locked on. Go there. College basketball is now over, but you can bet on the NBA. You can bet on baseball coming up. I do not care at all about baseball, but if I got a little bit of money on it, a little bit of scratch, a little bit of coin, a little bit of cheddar, then I am going to have a good time, because FanDuel is there. I know my money is good, and I know that my money is good. That is a big part of all of this, is knowing that at the end of the day, you put your money down and it is going to be good. So again, FanDuel.com/locked on. You can bet before games, during games, or you can bet futures, all kinds of stuff, whatever floats your boat. Check it out, FanDuel.com/locked on. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, let's talk a little bit more about Arizona basketball. And where Arizona is at going forward. Now, we talked about some transfer portal possibilities. And again, this is a transfer portal where people need to remember this. There aren't huge difference makers here. And I mean, there are difference makers, but they're not. Like, I get people all the time that say, well, I get people all the time that'll say something to the effect of, well, Arizona needs to go out and get somebody that can space the court at the power forward spot. Here's the deal. If you bring in, let's just talk about Arizona last year for a second. You have shooters, cool. But at the same time, you also have shooters that had good percentages, but they're not real shooters. Keyshawn Johnson shot 40% from three-point range. Guess what? No team was terrified of Keyshawn Johnson shooting threes. That's just the way it is, period. There's nothing wrong with that. But Keyshawn Johnson shooting threes is something that any team was going to be more than okay with. That's just the way it is. So again, it didn't matter if you shoot 2 threes per game. Nobody cares. Nobody cares because that is not going to change the equation of a team. Now, listen, if you get somebody that is a really good volume shooter, cool. I get all of that. Then it's cool because, again, there's somebody that can change how the game is played, how they can change how the defense is going to be played. But at the same time, you are not going to worry about somebody shooting 2 threes per game. Let's talk about Pelle Larsson, for example. Pelle Larsson shot 43% from three-point range. Cool. Awesome. Nice. Guess what? He was still hesitant to shoot threes. Teams would still dare him to shoot threes. So, was anybody really concerned about Pelle shooting threes? No. And on top of that, I also think that I think it's fair to say that, bringing in, like, let's say Xavier Amos or something, and Xavier Amos is not going to change the calculation from three-point range, period. So he shot 4 threes per game. Cool. But shot 38%. Nobody cares. If I want to pack in the paint against that, I am going to pack in the paint. Again, Clemson thought nothing of it with Arizona, with all their myriad of 40% three-point shooters. Nobody said that. Nobody at Clemson was like, oh, well, we can't do that because Arizona's got 40% shooters. No, they didn't really take those 40% shooters seriously. I need bucket getters. Those are what I need. And that's why I like Trey Townsend. Again, people say, well, Trey Townsend, only shot 46% from the field or whatever. Trey Townsend can still get buckets. I like Keyshawn Johnson, good dude, obviously, but Keyshawn Johnson is not getting, the numbers consistently against Power 5 teams that Trey Townsend did. He just can't. That's just not his game. And I like Keyshawn. I thought Keyshawn was very good, but offensively, it was kind of an open three or a dunk, and that was pretty much it. So, Townsend can do a lot more than that. So there's that. And again, Arizona has struggled in games where it has come down to the wire and they needed somebody that could get baskets. And Trey Townsend would be somebody could certainly help out there. I would love to see Arizona be able to get him. Again, no insider information, just saying that I think Arizona I would like to see Arizona get him. Then, there's obviously some other players out there that we'll talk about, at different times, but those, that's the kind of template that I am looking for. Now, because here's what we've also found is that in the NCAA tournament, when offense slows or when, games slow down, they are not going to have a lot of, set plays. You got to have some guys that can get buckets. Caleb Love is one of those guys that can get some buckets. Like I said, I know that Caleb Love had a really bad last month of the season. I get it. I still like Caleb Love. I believe in Caleb Love. I hope that Caleb Love comes back. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. I would love to see Caleb Love come back, mainly because he is, a perimeter of Jaden Bradley, Caleb Love, and KJ Lewis, yes, sir, sign me up for 2 in case I want seconds, because that is a tough lineup, and that's some bucket getters there. That's some guys that can get to the hoop. Now, again, one of my qualms with Caleb Love was that I didn't think that he would get to the basket enough. I would like to see him get to the basket, and I would like to see him get to the basket more, because I think that he is very capable of getting to the basket. And I think that if you're an Arizona fan, you should want the same thing, because, again, the three-point shot with Caleb can come and go, but they being able to get to the rack shouldn't. We saw that against Clemson when Caleb Love attacked the basket. He was a problem for Clemson, and Brad Brownell basically said they had nobody that could really stop him. So he didn't really have anybody that could stop him. So they had to do some other things. That is where Arizona should take advantage of it. So I would love for Caleb Love to come back, because, again, he gets me. Listen, for all of the lightning rod that he was a top 10 player in the country. That's a good thing. And so, those obviously, you don't obviously get players like that all the time. And so I would like to see that. And plus, I think it would be a very tough backcourt. You would also I would also imagine at that point that Kylan Boswell would leave. Listen, Boswell's welcome back, but I just don't know. In my opinion, I don't believe that you can go into next year banking on Kylan Boswell as a starter. You're going into the Big 12. It's obviously a much better conference. And, listen, I mean, some of Kylan's off the court stuff has been certainly well documented, but he just on the court, though, the bigger thing was he just wasn't good enough. There were way too many games when he was just scared to shoot the three, or he just appeared timid out there, whatever the case may be. And sometimes I think, a parting of the ways can be best for both sides. If Caleb Love came back, I think that would certainly be the case for Arizona. I just don't feel comfortable at all going into next season with with Kylan Boswell as one of your starting guards. And I think that you would have to I think that unlike this year, he would have to earn things. And I don't know that that's necessarily the case. But either way, I think you bring back Caleb Love if he wants to come back. And like I said, a lineup of KJ Lewis, who we're going to get to on the next side, Jaden Bradley and Caleb Love, along with Josan Sanon being that first dude off the bench. That is a really, 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 that's a really talented lineup that can get you, that is not going to back down to anybody, that is not going to get pushed around, and is not going to, I think, be intimidated by anybody. Now, we're going to talk about KJ Lewis here in a second, because there's obviously some things that we probably need to discuss about him a little bit. But first, game time. All right, now let's see here. Game time. Check it out. All kinds of good stuff. Download the Gametime app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Again, a lot of people, you're looking to go to games, you're looking to go to this, you're looking to go to that. You're like, I don't really know where to get these tickets. Well, Gametime has you covered. Not only do they have you covered for sporting events, you can go to some bad rock concerts like William Brad Alice does, and Gametime will likely have something for you as well. Again, download the Gametime app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. $20 off, my friends. $20 off. You will thank me later. Check it out. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, let's talk a little KJ Lewis. I love KJ Lewis. I've been making fun of people for the longest time that thought that KJ Lewis was not a 5-star player. That is what a 5-star player looks like. And KJ Lewis is that's, again, the fact that he was rated 81 or whatever, that is stupid. He should have been a top 30 player. You know it when you see it. KJ Lewis is a monster. There's a good chance that he is going to test the NBA waters. I do not like this. He is because, again, he is very, very talented. We all know that. And he is also a really good basketball player. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if some team gave him a first round guarantee. Now, again, I hope that doesn't happen. I think he's still more likely than not comes back to college if he declares, but I don't, like I said, I don't love it because there's a lot to like about KJ Lewis if you're an NBA team, from his frame to his physicality to his strength to just kind of his determination, his want to. He's a player that will play in the NBA. Now, at what level? Is he an NBA All-Star? Is he a starter? What is he? I don't know that yet. I think, that obviously remains to be seen, but he's certainly somebody that you can see being on an NBA team for 10, 12, 13 years. He's a really, really, really good basketball player and somebody that I would that would be a very tough loss for Arizona if KJ Lewis went off into the NBA. But I would still imagine that he would come back. He hasn't obviously declared for the draft yet, but he's also doing his due diligence. It would be smart for him to do his due diligence because that's his future. It's not our future in play. And so a lot of times, more knowledge is good, good news here. And KJ Lewis is that guy. So we will find out about that and how that plays, because again, I think that he's going to take a huge step forward next year. And when I say a huge step forward, somebody that is going to be an all Big 12 type performer. I also believe that he could be a top 15 pick in the draft, maybe even higher. I think the sky's the limit for this kid. I think he can be an NBA All-Star. He's I think with the shot, the shot is going to come around. You look at his form, the form is very solid. And he's had a couple moments too, like where he kind of had a hesitation pull up against UCLA where it was like, oh, look at that one. So there is, like I said, there's a lot to like about him. We will find out because, again, you got to know sooner than later on this. Then obviously got Josan Saint on Jamari Phillips. I like Jamari Phillips a great deal. He's somebody that can score at all three levels. Not sure, maybe he's not being talked about quite enough, but he's somebody too that could come in and actually, and make a big impact. So we will find that out as well. And then Carter Bryant will be getting here very early this summer. We like that because Carter Bryant getting here in June gives him more time to get with the strength staff, be able to you got June, July, August, September. You got 4 or 5 months to get with the strength staff. That will really, I think, benefit him. And I think that he's probably a 2-year player as well. But you're Arizona, you're excited that he is going to be there. But Arizona's got a lot of potential different lineups for 24, 25. But that's also kind of where we are now with the transfer portal, that things are going to play itself out, and we will definitely find that one out. Now, tomorrow, we are going to talk more Arizona basketball, and we'll probably talk a little bit Arizona football as well. What's going on at practice? What do you need to know? All of that. Because, again, we're going to have media availability here shortly. So, and we will, kind of try to give you a little bit of update on what's going on, who's showing out, what the emphasis on and practice are. All of those good little things that come with being an Arizona Wildcat fan. But again, this is the life we chose, and we would have nothing. We would do nothing else differently. Again, heartbreak is part of being a University of Arizona Wildcat fan, and that is why we like it. Well, it's not why we like it, but that is part of the journey. It makes the victory all the more successful. On that note, though, thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats, making this your first listen of the day. We will be back with you tomorrow.